So, hi everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm still amazed to see so many people who haven't rushed for a beer yet at this hour. So, thank you for being here. Before we get into the topics of influencer marketing again, and more especially YouTubers, I would like to know here in the room how many people have already run an YouTuber campaign. Can you guys raise your hand? Okay, so a few. And who's thinking about it right now? Only a few as well. Okay. So yeah, let's start maybe with a quick introduction. Do you guys want to just introduce yourself briefly and tell us what you guys are in relation to YouTubers marketing?
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Macy Mills. I'm the head of business development at Game Influencer. We are an influencer marketing agency. So we're a very hands-on agency that basically ties together game developers, PC, mobile, console, VR with influencers, and a lot of focus on YouTube as well.
Hi, I'm Tess Thormodsgaard, and I work for for Seriously. We have a game called Best Fiends, and I'm on the marketing team there.
Yeah, hey, Jiri Kupiainen, CEO of Matchmade. You might have seen me on stage half an hour ago, so that was me.
And I'm Pascal Claris. I started in marketing 20 years ago and in YouTube marketing with Seriously and Best Fiends 3 years ago. And now I'm a free consultant. I do it for Big Bang Legends, Lightyear, but also Ubisoft and a bunch of other companies. We've done some campaigns together as well. And there.
Great. And so I'm Jean-Philippe Descaires, and I'm the founder of Pokewell, who's a marketing and creative agency dedicated to mobile games, and we are also running quite a lot of influencer marketing campaigns. So I'm quite happy to be here with you guys because I think from what I heard before and from what I've seen, we have kind of two different approaches to influencer marketing here on stage. So it will be quite interesting to dive into the topic with you. My first question would be related to the platform itself, YouTube. So why did you guys decide to focus more on YouTube as a platform to work with influencer marketing?
I think for us at Game Influencer, there was just, obviously the reach is huge, but that's the same with any social media platform. So the difference for us was really the creative ability. So the opportunity to have this screen in front of you that people are watching these influencers talk for 20 minutes at a time, 30 minutes at a time. So really gave us the opportunity to kind of promote games on a longer form setting. And we do work with other social media platforms as well, but have definitely done the most with YouTube because of this case.
When we started, we didn't really have the budget to cut through with regular performance marketing. And around that time, we read this article in Variety, and it was something like 6 out of, I don't know, the 20 most influential people in Hollywood. 10.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. He can answer for me. Were YouTubers. So, and also 70% of YouTube views were on mobile. So you're one click away from a download. And it was also a space that our partners weren't really able to, do really well in yet. They weren't really getting it. So it was an opportunity for us to own the platform.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a bit of a different point of view because we are extremely data focused. YouTube has really nice data. They have really nice APIs. Okay. So if you want to analyze every single piece of content, YouTube is a really nice place to start.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and as for me, basically after 20 years of marketing, I used to boost my UA with PR and blog marketing until it stopped working in 2010, 2011. So I was looking for the next thing, and I heard Mike Blithell, who is an indie developer, had a PC game, and Thomas Was Alone was the game. And in 2013, in one video from one big YouTuber, it changed his life, and his numbers went like that and stayed like that after that. So I was interested in that, and when Big Phil Hickey went into giving money to PewDiePie and the likes to make videos, I told him, take me with you, and the rest is history.
Okay, thank you. So my next question might be a little bit naive, but I think it's quite interesting because a lot of people sometimes are kind of confusing YouTube ads with YouTube influencer marketing. So I would like to ask you this question. Why would you bet more on YouTube influencer rather than just basically buying YouTube ads on AdWords?
Results.
Sorry?
Results. I mean, come on. Like if you look at like properly integrated like sponsored content that's actually relevant to the audience, it's actually what the YouTuber creates. If you compare the performance of that to an ad, it's a different product. It's a different thing. I mean, nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
And there's another element as well, which is that YouTube ads, like Facebook ads or Instagram ads, have the advantage that they can track the data a lot, and you can turn them on and off based on your budget in a very strict way. But what I like about YouTube is exactly the opposite. It lives forever. So if your video suddenly does very well, and I'm not talking about viral, I'm talking just it gets picked up by the algorithm in YouTube, and then if it did its millions of views in the first week, it's going to continue to do 100K views the following month. When you do it like Best Fiends and pile up all these great videos, it has a tremendous effect on your organics over time, which UA, data-driven UA, won't have.
Yeah. No, I mean, YouTube ads are that, right? They're ads. It's an interruption to content that you want to watch, whereas an integration is, you know, it's what you're there for. So it's an integration into content that, or I guess into a community that already is, you know, loyal to the influencer that they're watching. So in an integration, you get a demo of the app, you get a call to action, and you get an endorsement. Not to mention, as Pascal said, you get the long tail effect as new users find new influencers.
So just a quick question here. Like, so we know how many people are running like a YouTubers campaign, but how many of you are running like a YouTube ads campaigns? Okay, so not so many either, just to confirm. So yeah, getting back to what I was saying in the introduction in terms of like two different approaches to a YouTuber right here, like on the stage. So my understanding is that Macy and you, Jerry, are very data-driven, when you, Tess, and Pascal are more kind of event-driven in your approaches. Can you maybe like elaborate on this, or am I right?
No.
I actually think that you don't have to be one or the other. I would say at Game Influencer, we're kind of a mix of both. So obviously the data is super important. At the end of the day, we're making games, we're trying to drive downloads. So we're definitely looking into the data, especially with our database and who we're figuring out who we're working with internally in terms of influencers. But at the same time, I think there's just as much value in doing event-driven or these larger campaigns with multiple influencers and things like that. So I'd actually say we're kind of a mix of both, right? I don't think you have to be kind of mutually exclusive. Okay. I think that you can kind of mix up the strategies and use both.
Yeah, I'll just pick up on that, because I mean, and touching on the previous question as well, I mean, these are not ads. Like in the end, it's someone creating content for their fans, and you can't automate that, or at least you probably should not. Okay. So I mean, our point of view is just like, come on, there's 1.4 million channels. Like, there's something you should automate. Like, how the hell do you pick the ones you want to work with? Like, automate the crappy parts, but then when it comes to creating content, working with the creator, like, of course you need that. That's a personal relation you need to have.
Pascal, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I think, of course, we all look at data, but my approach is, well, what I grew fond of is the events, in the sense that I believe in big impact. And I like it when you reproduce what used to be called, I'm old, so there was a thing 20 years ago called the water cooler moment, where there was something going on TV, and the next day everybody would talk about it at work. And I try to reproduce that, so it can be through the data-driven approach of Jiri, by booking a lot of influencers or booking 3 or 4 stars. But then I like to give them something to talk about. Like I did a campaign with Gear Club with Pagani in March, and we brought that Pagani Huayra BC that was worth $2.5 million, suddenly you can talk with the YouTubers about something else than money, because you're bringing priceless value to the table. They have access to something that's not daily for them, even for them. And the other thing is, the car itself becomes a star in the show. So it's that event where one influencer and his data is no longer so much important to me, because I have to worry about other things as well, like the chemistry on camera. So I might bring two or three YouTubers who have huge numbers that are going to do the views for me, and then maybe they sidekick because they get along well and it's going to give me a good vibe on camera. When you go events, you have that going to play, and also the scheduling. Not everybody is available for events.
So thank you for your answers. I think something that is very interesting in your answers is also like based on the selection of the YouTubers, because you all mentioned, yes, we need to pick this one and this one, or we gather like influencers at the same time for an event. But how do you actually select the YouTubers you want to work with?
We usually do a combination of their audience demographics, price, and engagement. We sort of I guess for a campaign, we'll target a certain CPV, and then we'll look at the engagement that fans have with that channel. It's also, I think, sort of what we've touched on, but it's not just about finding, one influencer with massive awareness or just a bunch of small ones. We sort of do a mix, and so it's understanding that, the smaller channels like the super buzzy micro influencer or the mid-tier talent, they're a little less diluted in terms of endorsements. So, it's a good mix of awareness and engagement.
And how do you get this data from the YouTubers?
Their channel, their YouTube backend.
Okay, so you directly plug to the YouTube backend and get the data.
We ask them to share
with
us,
okay.
yeah. Since we're not directly plugged in as the client.
Super similar approaches. I mean, we have a database of 6 million influencers, so we start by querying that database with 20 plus factors that we discuss together. So that's demographics, territory, past campaign performance, which is super important for us. And then from there, the database pops out a list, and we put our personal touch in there, and that's when we actually look into the influencers, actually look at the channel, check out their engagement as well, and figure out which one will be the best fitting for your game.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the part where we are a little bit different. I mean, so for what we do is basically one of the end results is that for each YouTube channel, we have a profile of what games perform well for the audience. So which types of games have gotten good engagement from the audience. So for us, the kind of matching is fully automated. We just plug in the game, and then we find channels where we can forecast that that type of a game will be interesting to the audience. And there's really, for us, there's no person like making that decision. We just get a list and we go, okay, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and we might do some filtering on demographics or geographics, and there's going to be filtering based on the price, but there's no one doing that. It's the computer.
Well, obviously, at first, the first thing I look at is if there's a demographic audience match. So we all gather a lot of data about our audience of our games, which age, which genre, what are the psychographics, what do the people like when they are, I don't know, the most monetizing users or the best retaining users. When you have access to the data of the channel, like we said earlier, and I think Yiri's tip of his talk, don't just accept a screenshot. Actually look into their analytics for real, because a screenshot can be faked. But then you start looking into if there's an audience match, then is there a style match? If you care about the branding of your product, then you also need to have an affinity for the style that the influencer is going to convey. Maybe it's too controversial for you, maybe he swears too much for you. There is the effectivity of things, and then there is where you want to go with your business. And eventually, one key number I look at is, once I have an eye on an influencer that I want to use, I stop looking at the averages and actually track him for a few weeks. Every video he puts out, how many views does he get in 2 hours, in 6 hours, in 12 hours, in 24 hours, in 1 week? What's the lowest one? And I actually bid on that lowest one because I assume I will be the lowest one of the month. And then I can only have good surprises. Because, you know, some people have, you see it probably even clearer than I do, that you can have sometimes 10 million subscribers from 2012 when you were hot. And then the world changed. So it's like with music, you know. Where is Robin Thicke today with...
By the way, like, I think this is kind of a point that we should all be always making when we're on stage. Like, you should not be looking at subscribers. Like, we all talk about subscribers because it's an easy number to quote. Usually it's not relevant.
Yeah, and it might lead the price to be too high because subscribers grow the ego, and the ego has a parameter into the price. So buy for the views, and if the guy's ego or focus on subscribers is too high, just walk away. Like he said, there was how many? 1.6 million channels. Yeah, there's enough room to do business.
Sorry, which is actually a perfect transition to my next question, because so once you've established the influencer you want to work with and have an idea of like what type of content, etc., how do you calculate how much you want to pay the influencer?
YouTube, somebody wants to go? So YouTube headquarters told me that basically the rule of thumb, the formula is geography and category. If you're bidding in the US or if you're bidding in the UK or France, tier 1 markets, it's going to be higher. The other thing is which category you're in. Are you in fashion? Are you in gaming? If you're in fashion, you're going to be expensive because it's competing with the perfumes, with the lotions, with the brands that have $300 of margin on a $1 product, and everything goes into the packaging and the marketing. It's very hard to compete with those. And if you go to Brazil or to Russia, well, it's going to be less expensive than in the US. And the reason is because at the end of the day, the YouTube bread and butter, his daily income, is actually the ad money, the ad revenue that comes from YouTube, from the bidding algorithm. The less people bid on you, the lower your perception of money will be. So what's a lot of money? Well, for a woman in the fashion US category, that's $150,000 to $200,000. For somebody in Brazil in gaming, that may be $5K. For him, that's a lot of money. So you're basically giving more or less 50% premium compared to if he was just doing his own video and selling the ads. There should be 50% premium because you're asking him to do your video, not his. But more than that, walk away. You're paying for ego.
Tess?
Yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think we typically look at engagement and video views per influencer, but then overall, I guess over time, we sort of look at like how much money with how many video views targeting a specific kind of group will get us a certain uplift.
Okay, so you estimate based on the uplift that you're going to get, like in terms of installs or revenues.
But I think mentioning engagement, like engagement is really the key thing to look at, and it always correlates with the kind of conversions you'll see, and probably also with user quality. So if you work with a channel that has billions of subscribers and really low engagement, you're going to see shit results. And you should not pay a lot.
If at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with everything that they just said, but we typically work on a CPM model. So first we look at the market rates, region, genre, et cetera. And then also, actually, it matters how good the game is as well. So if the game is super interesting to watch and the influencers are excited about it, you tend to be able to negotiate a little bit better with them. So obviously just starting out with an offer to them and then kind of trying to negotiate from there to come out with the best offer.
If I may add something, because I realize that we are lucky and blessed here to play with money. But there are indies in the room who might be looking at how to do that stuff for free. And of course, you're not going to get the top 100 YouTubers to talk about your game just because it's great. But think about integrating them in the game. Go after one or two, find the the perfect target for you and really seduce him with that priceless stuff. And that's not soft currency. It's access to something really special, or putting him prominently in the game in a way that makes sense. He could become a character in the game or whatever. I'm not saying he's going to do it for free in that case, but he's going to do it for much less money than if you just say, all right, make that video for that date.
Okay. Another interesting question, like maybe to finish, because I see we're already running out of time, would be like, can you guys like tell me about like what would be like the best campaign that you've run so far, the one you're the proudest of, and why? And also, what is the worst? What it went wrong? And yeah, can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, so we just ran a campaign for Tencent in Poland for Arena Valor. Used to be called Strike of Kings. They changed the name a few times, but it's their new MOBA game. So we had 13 influencers in Poland. I'll start with a social media post, and then they also posted a video. All on the same day, and they were all pretty esports focused as well. One was even a Polish esports team, so it was super cool to see them get into it, play each other, kind of tournament style campaign. I would say that's the one that I'm definitely most proud of, and we're most proud of at the company right now. Also happy to share more details on that if anyone's interested in the case study. Worst campaign, I think that's it's difficult to answer. I won't name any names, but I think some of the, let's say, 3 or 4 year old strategy mobile MMOs or browser MMOs are very difficult to promote with influencer marketing. Obviously, when you're making a game and you're making it for influencer marketing, you're thinking of something that's exciting to watch, and there's a lot of like action and multiplayer functions and things like that. And sometimes with these more strategic MMOs, we've ran some, let's say, typical Let's Play campaigns when we first started the company, and the conversion rate just wasn't great, and the response in general. So we've kind of taken the approach to try to come up with more interesting ways to promote these types of games, because obviously these games are doing well on the app stores and such. So there's still opportunities in influencer marketing. It's just not the straightforward Let's Play approach, and we definitely learned our lesson there.
Thank you.
I'd say our proudest would be Race Against Slime 2, which is a mouthful. But yeah, we had 7 teams of influencers, like just global superstars, and each one was representing a different charity. And I mean, it was like Cutie Pie Marzia, the Willy Rex, Hayes Greer, Rebecca Black, just a bunch of them. And we even had Ellen DeGeneres in it. We raised $250,000, which was just great for charity. And then even more is, it was a really good example of the synergy that we can create when our marketing and our product teams work together. Just, you know, the gameplay supported the marketing, and the marketing supported the gameplay, and it showed with the results of just so much more DAUs, and it was just, and obviously, you know, doing good for charity, which is great.
And the worst?
The worst.
You're not getting out of that.
I mean, I think we all learn from every campaign, but...
What a good answer. What a good answer.
But, thank you, I am. But I think we've all touched on this already, but at the beginning, MCNs were trying to sell on subscribers rather than on views and engagement, which is just not what you're looking for. I mean, you're looking for engagement in your campaign and your integration, so I think that model had to shift, and now we've learned.
Good.
There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, I think on the worst campaign front, it's kind of what Macy said. Like, we've had surprises. Like, we would have a game that had massively high payouts, like really, really good CPIs and whatnot, and the YouTubers wouldn't even reply to our messages about it. They're just like, no. We're like, but you can make all this money. Like, no, it sucks. And it was, for us, that was a pretty big moment, because it's like, yeah, we're all data driven, but sometimes the game just sucks. That's that. I'm not gonna name any names. Biggest success by far is gonna be What the Hen, which is, we've been working with the Charge Monkey guys for a very long time at this point. And I think the reason it's so successful is that, well, the game is really great for YouTube. It's really visual, it's really fun. It makes for good gameplay videos, which is of course very important. But the second thing is that the developer is really engaged, so they will always create like custom stuff for the YouTubers. So if we work with it, if we find a new partner for them, then they'll put them in the game. They'll actually really engage the YouTuber to make sure that they feel special and their audience feels special. And it feels like every time we go to a new market with that game, where it still like keeps delivering and we keep finding new fans for it. So I think that's just, for us, that's been amazing.
So my product campaign would be the one I've done and talked about before with Pagani and Gear Club, because the stars were aligned and it was fighting against a hard date. It was tough, but we delivered, so everybody was happy. Now for the worst one, I'm going to name names. Like I said earlier, for the race against Slime 2, we had one great influencer, which was KSI. Later on, I worked with him again and realized that the problem with the big stars is that they can be very volatile, have a lot of opportunities, and are very young. So they can behave like divas sometimes, and when you build an entire campaign for a big company with a lot of money, and that the headliner is KSI, and 3 days before the show he bails out and disappears, and you hear it's for family reason, only to find out that family is actually his friends and it's going on holiday. And you have to find another influencer of the same size and same impact for 3 hours. You don't sleep a lot and you're tense and stressed. And that's one I'm going to remember. We got away with it that time, but quite frankly, that I think is one of the big risks of the space. People bail sometimes, and it can be as silly as I had a surprise holiday, which...
It's always family reasons, at least for us.
In a way.
Family reasons. Thank you very much to the four of you, and maybe we have some questions from the audience. Please.
Yeah, Gordon Dempster from Pipeline here. Hi guys. I was wondering, you were talking a lot about matching the audience of the tuber or the influencer with the game. How do you see this working out between different game genres? Specifically, mobile games versus PC games. I'm interested because, as you know, of course, a lot of the things that YouTubers do on their own is often PC, and all the particulars here are mobile.
I feel like that was slightly aimed at me, a little bit. So we actually haven't done a whole bunch of stuff where we would promote mobile games on PC gaming channels, because for us, we really try to respect the audience's expectations. So if the audience expects PC gaming from this channel, we're not going to aggressively push a mobile game there. It might perform, and we're going to do some tests there, but right now I don't really have an answer, actually.
I think what Jiri says is absolutely true, and you should be careful of not running into a complete mismatch, because then it's even bad for the influencer. But how to move a YouTuber, for example, who has never done mobile games before, but might as well do it. I'm thinking of Rosanna Pansino. 3 or 4 years ago, she was not doing a lot of mobile games. She found out it resonates with her audience. She keeps doing it. How to be the first one to convince a YouTuber to go mobile, not necessarily from PC gaming, because you still have that ostracism going on between PC console hardcore gamers and mobile, so you will suffer from that. But from any other segment, I think it's the creative idea. Never forget what we said earlier, YouTube is a visual channel, so it should be a visual spectacle. If you ask for a let's play of a game that might be great but doesn't look great, you have to find a pretext to make it look great. And I think Race Against the Slime 2 is a perfect example of that. It was KSI, for example, is a total audience mismatch for Best Fiends, yet it worked well that time, because it was Team KSI versus Team PewDiePie. The results were on Ellen DeGeneres. It's an event. It's no longer about Best Fiends, it's around Best Fiends. So they're not just selling something, they're creating something great that can be watched on its own. The marketing becomes a spectacle on its own. I think that would be the holy grail on YouTube.
Anyone else?
And comedy is your friend on that.
So you've got a lot of these, obviously these YouTubers, and they're all kind of personalities unto themselves, and their audiences will arrive because, hey, look, this is a video, I typed in whatever game, I just want to watch some whatever, for whatever reason. And this YouTuber provides this game, but I'm mainly there for the game. And then maybe they stay for the personality of the YouTuber or so on like this. And there's maybe a certain quality to the video that this YouTuber provides. For you guys, as you work with those, either as third parties with your clients or for your own businesses specifically, do you just rely on the YouTuber to provide the quality that you want, or do you, because there's money being exchanged here, do you tell them, look, we need this, we need specific things within the video?
I think,
what sort of freedom do you give them, or what do you expect from them?
yeah, I mean, we have a few things that are mandatory, like, the talking points we want to get across, like why we're paying them, right? We have them put the download link in the description box, and it's hyperlinked so they can click on it. We have them show the app icon, but and the demo of the game, obviously. But I mean, you're going to them for their audience, and their audience is going to them for their content. So the moment you try to take it over and make it something that you want rather than what they want, it doesn't really do well. The campaigns and the videos that do the best are good for everyone involved. So it's good for the YouTuber, which means it's good for their audience, which obviously then means it's good for you. So like, you have to relinquish a little bit of control sometimes, and you...
Does that ever happen?
Sometimes you don't pay the second half of the video.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always what you expect for something you're going to pay for. But again, you're going for what their audience expects. So you're integrated into their brand and their channel to get with their audience. So.
Yeah, for us, we provide a video brief that we work on with our clients that we send out to the influencers before they launch the video. So that includes things they can't say, things they have to say. I would say sometimes there's more in it than others. Like, for example, clients will want to show a certain level because it's the most fun to watch, or they want to show a certain feature. But in general, there is some, they have to be able to express their creative talent and show their watchers what they normally enjoy watching. But we also watch the videos before, like the week before they come out, to make sure that they kind of fulfilled all those requirements as well. At the end of the day, if they're not performing, they don't look excited about the game, then we do have some opportunities to make them reshoot or not work with them, etc. So we make sure that's kind of baked into the contracts.
I think, going back, a big thing I think that a lot of brands need to get used to is that you shouldn't, unless it's like a let's play and they're playing your game, like having your brand in the title isn't going to be the best. Like if someone says like they're doing a get ready with me video, something where they're literally getting ready and filming themselves. If it says, and I play Best Fiends, it's not really going to drive as much views, But if it's just get ready with me, I'm going out to a club, then they're going to, their audience knows to go watch that, and then they mention Best Fiends in it, and it's more organic and natural.
I think in the case of a let's play or of a direct video, you actually have 2 or 3 lines that you put in the contract and that they have to check, to really abide with. But there's also the quality criterion. Sometimes we have rejected videos for quality reasons, and that's more of a fight. That's a struggle with the agent or the guy and just telling him, look, you were high on coke, you did something stupid within 2 minutes, we're not going to pay for it.
Or you're 14 and you're making out with your boyfriend in bed. Like.
Yeah, we've seen some of that stuff, and then it becomes a fight, like with any human being, I guess, in any trade. And then when there is the event, that's also why I like events, you can actually guide them a little bit more. So yes, you always give them creative freedom, there is no script, but when there is an event, there is an outline. We have to be next to the car at the time, then let me take you and drive you there. So it's becoming like a Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of episodes. I'm not scripting you, and I'm still directing you without showing it. And in events, we have more control over the YouTubers.
And make sure that they play the game, obviously.
That's a very good advice. That's a very good advice.
No, I mean, it's amazing how many videos I'll get in first cuts and they haven't played the game and they're like, oh, I'm so obsessed with the game, like it's so great.
Yeah,
like,
they're
no,
going to lie to you. They're going to lie to you.
If they can't figure out the controls, there's an issue there.
Yes.
Okay, so question about budgets, because I mean, it's really important. That what kind of budget should we allocate to get a campaign with impactful? Let's say we want a budget for key markets in Europe, UK, Germany, France, Italy for mobile game. What kind of budget should we allocate to the impact?
At least nowadays, we're not really going to do anything unless you have at least 20K to start with. And hopefully you'll be able to go up from there.
For me, it's 50 to 100.
But that's the thing. Like if you come in with like, oh yeah, like let's do a €5,000 test. That'll get you one video. If that video performs like crap, then you'll made up your mind that this doesn't work, and the amount of data you're basing that decision on is not enough. So you need to be able to do several videos to kind of judge it properly.
And it's like playing poker with no money. You're going to think poker is an unwinnable game if you play with $1. Yes, it is. And so I would say 20K for a test, especially if you do it in Brazil or isolated markets like that where the price is lower. But once you really want to make a bang, make an impact, in Germany, UK, US, starts with 100K.
Feel the same way. I mean, a game influencer typically start around 20, 30K euros and go up from there. So yeah, it's again, being an agency, hands-on approach, there's a lot that goes into putting together these types of campaigns and also having enough data to actually make decisions based on, as he said, only one video isn't, you're not going to be able to say, oh, that was successful, let's do more just like that, because there's not enough data to really strategize on that moving forward.
I think there's also like one important thing is like where your game is standing in this market. If you already have a lot of organic installs like on a regular basis, of course you'll have to work with like a bigger influencer to see the uplift and to see like the effect and the impact of the campaign. But if nothing is really happening, then you can manage to play around with smaller budget and test maybe a few small influencers to see what picks up there and there.
There's also the stuff you can do with no budget, and that's your community manager finding their super fans. It will not be the guy with millions of views, but even if it's a guy who does 100,000 views per video he makes for you, encourage him. Give him the tools or the access or the soft currency or even some gifts every now and then to keep him excited about your game. I think you said earlier today that if somebody has a Clash Royale type of game, it's the right moment. Yeah, because all these Clash Royale videos, I think most of them are free. Supercell is not paying anybody. It's just the push and pull products. The retail store needs Coca-Cola for the family to come in and do the grocery shopping, so it's seducing Coca-Cola, but it doesn't need Pepsi. So Pepsi has to seduce the retail store, and I think it's the same here. Clash Royale is attracting YouTubers, others have to pay for them.